I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Hi, I'm Marika Moore, and if you want to get all up in my business, you should check out my new book, Unsolicited Marriage Advice, where I provide an analysis of the best marriage advice that I've received over the past 16 years or so. So head on over to Amazon and buy it now.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on the no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% black all the time. Please go to our social media, Facebook and Instagram at Man Listen Show. Go to YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified of upcoming shows. Leave a comment, let us know what you think about the show. And make sure you tell your friends about the show, the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Mar B. Let's bring the crew in. Make sure you go to our Instagram and shit and buy the hoodies and books and all the stuff that we sell to support the show. Shout out to C. So listen, man, I think Kanye still got the record of rapper, entertainer that, I don't know. It might be tied between him and Monique. Who you think it is? Who we talked about the most on the show, Kanye or Monique? You on mute.
Yeah.
Gotta be Kanye.
Yeah, I think it's Kanye.
Yeah, because
you saw when he issued an apology?
No.
Last week, he issued an apology to all the people that he was vile towards or nasty towards. I didn't even
breaking news. He has new music coming out that he wants you to see.
That's what I said. He either got some more ugly shoes coming out.
I was about to say shoes or music.
Yeah, some ugly clothes or
He
something.
got a whole album coming
but did
out.
he apologize to black people?
He did.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say to black people?
He said, "I'm sorry for to the black community. You guys have held me down from day one." And talking about again going into his mental health from the car crash type stuff. He did.
He apologized to the black community. You're not making that up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm not making that up.
I saw where he apologized for his anti-Semitic behavior.
Yeah.
Hey, lad, what you say? He also apologized to the black community for letting it down. Wow. You know, my thing is this though. Why does it seem like whenever like a black dude has like a mental break, the first thing they do is run to being a sellout and on some white supremacist shit? It's probably because white supremacy in itself is insanity and crazy. So maybe that's why they run to it. But why is that the first thing you run to though? Like, you know, when you look at people who have like psychotic breaks, they usually get like hypersexual or they, you know, jump into drugs or alcohol, whatever. You just go start talking. You just want to be MAGA and talk shit about black people.
I think that before he even got to that point, he got very far removed from black people in the black community. So the deeper he got into the white world, that was his new normal anyway. So then he just started, I guess, associating with those themes more than he does with what we got going on in our lives in the real world. But, you know, like you said, it's definitely a mental defect, white supremacy. So maybe it does make sense.
I think also it goes back to me, it's always a financial component, right? When you get behind the curtain, quote unquote, and you see what sells and what makes you money, and that's dogging black people, and some people are comfortable doing that for the sake of the, you know, they want to be that billionaire, and they figure I can always on the back end put out an apology, and they'll welcome me back to the cookout with open arms.
If I put out a hit record, I put out a hit record or something like that.
Yeah, I put out a hit record, you know. I say a couple sound bites about I hate Donald Trump. Not that he said that, but you know, he's like they'll love me again, you know. So
we've seen this before where he's kind of backtracked on things.
Yeah.
But then he said, "Well, I'm still MAGA though." You know, he did that on Dream Champs. I think that's the interview that he did. So, you know, because a lot of folks, them being MAGA is not really about the racial component. It's about when it comes to Black people, it's about them thinking that it will better their financial situation.
And
So,
and a lot of people like to see that display of just unabashed, I don't care about what you think. I'm going to do what I want to do it my way. And because a lot of people haven't never been in a position to do that themselves. And they know there'd be way more repercussions if that was them, but they like seeing, they kind of like look up to or idolize someone else that does that.
and that's such a
And
simple mindset because we talked about it on the show. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in real life, I'm an ignorant person. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the ways that, you know, the ignorance that Trump displays, like it appeals to my ignorant side because I can find it funny. But we said on the show before, like, I want to laugh, but I will never laugh because of how dangerous and racist, you know, that bastard is.
Yeah.
So I can see why somebody could be like drawn to that because of those things, but at some point you have to have a moral compass to say, you know what, even though this may benefit me financially, and you can say that the first term, this term you can't say that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of people going to be have shown to be let down when it comes to that. But I there's just no I can be bought by some people. I can't be bought for that, and I definitely won't be bought to turn against my people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I think also it's access to rooms that they still can't get to because there's a certain amount of money that can get you into some places, but a lot of those places you got to be, somebody that knows somebody to vouch for you to get into these little secret rooms where they making the deals where, when a big project comes to the city and all the land that they need is already purchased up by some investment group, you want to get in on stuff like that. Sometimes you got to, move further and further away from the Black community so they can start bringing you in on those deals. And to them, again, that goes back to finances. That means more to them than their association with their people.
but it goes back to people who watched The Wire when Stringer Bell was sitting to Clay Davis and he was and what Avon said, what I tell you about playing those away games, you never really are in. They tolerate you, they will use you for your resources, but I know we talked about it on the show before. You can make all that money and then they'll take it away. You remember they
Yeah.
talking about Kanye was a billionaire and then they just did something to change his valuation in accounting term and he lost like $500 million in one day
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because he said something about the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Act like I put another word in front of that.
Yeah, I know.
Y'all know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I
It's
just try to
only
change.
subtle
I
if
try
you
to
don't
change
say. You
that
see what I
letter.
did there? You
Yeah,
see what I
exactly.
did
We
there?
we all knew. We all knew. Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of a rapper who played themselves to try to improve their situation, Nicki Minaj. First of all, she's not ADOS, and it shows. Not that we don't have ADOS sellouts, because obviously Kanye's one, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But we hold ours accountable. And I'm not really linked in or tied in with the Trinidadian community. I saw something on social media where they said this type of mindset isn't shocking if you know people from Trinidad because there's that mixture of African descent and Indian descent, right? So there's colorism and things that go into that. But clearly, she had decided to go full MAGA in order to try to either solidify her and her family's position in this country, or a lot of people say, because people say like, she's on coke, she's having a psychotic break, she goes on these rants and all this
Another
other,
one. Yeah.
all this other stuff. But again, back to my point, why when you have a psychotic break, you go to MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
So what y'all think
Well,
about this? So she went Trump accounts, the whole Trump accounts deal, whatever, just another scam for him to pat his pocket. He's the grifter in chief. I don't even know what the Trump account says. Was that the one where like the kids, you donate for your kids or something? Or what scam is that? He's got the crypto coin. He's got, all this old shit. I saw where the Saudi Arabians or the UAE basically bought like half of this company. It's like, dude, how is a sitting president selling things to a foreign country? Like they just not even trying to hide the corruption anymore.
No.
But back to Nikki though. What y'all think about her showing up and her holding hands with Trump and all this other stuff? It started with her going on Turning Point USA. Now she's just straight up with Trump. What y'all think?
I think she's terrible anyway. And I think the Coke rants and all of that is definitely true. My best friend from high school is from Trinidad, so I know about their division like a whole lot. Like there's a side, basically you gotta choose a side. Either you're gonna be like a black Trini or a white Trini. Like when I found out she was
White
from
white
Trinity, I'm
meaning
like,
like white meaning like Indian, more Indian.
and they basically like what's the word? They favor white culture. So
Espouse
like
those white
her name
values.
is
Yeah.
her name is white. Their whole family name has white names. I was like, how you come from the islands with these white names? I'm so confused. And I'm like,
Becca.
why this name? I was just like, I don't get it. So they really do favor like if you light skin, you just treat it better and everything. Like it is definitely a cultural thing there. So I imagine that's why Nikki has gone to great lengths to be a Barbie and blonde, all that other stuff. But I think that hers, some people said that she went all out so she could try to get one of these gold card, green cards, and hers was fake.
Yeah. So
The
she so
Trump
she
administration.
she sold the gold card. I think the gold card you have to pay like what 500,000 or a
I
million
think I
dollars.
thought it was a million. I don't
Yeah, I
I
think
know.
thought
it's
it
a
was a
million. I think it was
million
$1
too.
million. Yeah, $1
Yeah.
million and get you the gold card, which basically gets you like to the top of the line when it comes to getting
Fast
a green
pass.
card, right?
Fast.
So, so it gets you to the top of the line, so you get your green card, right? And so she posted her little shit, what I'm saying, like, got my gold card or whatever. And then she got that N-word wake-up call. And they said that was commemorative. That ain't the actual card. What are you talking about?
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was like, girl, we're gonna need that 500,000. You want to skip
Yeah.
this line?
That's a deposit.
Exactly.
They come with
Yeah.
the rest when you show up for your appointment.
And I think too, and this is something that's, I don't know if it's necessarily a new phenomenon or what, but in the last 10, it's 10, maybe 15 years, I've seen so many people have a certain mindset or hold certain values and they suppress them and they get in on the Black community, hip hop specifically. And then as soon as they make their mark or make their name, boom, the real them comes out and they're done with the Black hip hop community. They're done. We used you to get on, and now I'm over here doing this. I'm changing everything up. And it's just fascinating. I don't really listen to a whole lot of other music consistently, whatever's pop radio, occasionally. But I don't know if does that happen in other genres? Like, are people breaking into country and as soon as they make it big, say, I'm done with country, I'm going over here? Do they break into rock and say, I'm done with rock, I'm going over here? That doesn't happen, man. And so
You know
we
why it
just,
don't happen? You know why it don't happen?
yeah,
Because they're not as welcoming as we are.
well,
We'll
that
let
and
a we'll let a
yeah,
Vanilla Ice and
right.
Eminem and
Pink.
Kid Rock, come and do their little yo real
Mm-hmm.
quick. You know what I'm saying? And outside of Eminem, but the rest of them, and then they flip and they turn. That's the game. You saw they didn't even want Beyonce. They weren't trying to get Beyonce no
That's what
awards.
they made them
They had to
create a
create a
whole
new
new
award,
category
a
of
new category.
a new category at the Grammys for country music because they didn't want Beyonce to be in there with them.
What's the new
They
category?
something like
It's like I don't know,
very
Negro.
contemporary country or something. Yeah, I
contemporary
don't know.
country.
Yeah,
Basically,
Country
just
El
like you ain't gonna be
Negro.
able to take away
yeah,
from us, so we're gonna give you
yeah.
this over here.
It's not traditional country. It's something else. It's yeah,
Right,
yeah. Mhm.
right. And you saw where
Yeah.
like when the little boy, that little weird boy, Lil Nas X, when he
Yeah.
had this little country song, and
Hmm.
what's the name? Billy Ray Cyrus had to jump on it for him to be able to get an award. So
Mhm.
basically, and maybe Billy Ray did it out the goodness of his heart, but more than likely, Billy Ray got a check.
No, for
Oh,
sure. For
100%.
sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Yeah.
you have to pay to be around us, but we just
Mhm.
black folks, we just be like, oh,
Yeah.
come on. And you know, we be so impressed because some of us love white people too much, man.
Yeah. And
Because
you're
you know,
right.
like
Exactly.
whole trade thought, because like I be so sick of it, you know, we in fraternities and sororities and shit, you know, and shout out to our non-black fraternity sorority members, whatever. But just because you get your little mediocre ass up there and step and shit, and motherfuckers be all like, "Oh, look at them!" It's like that. Man, they ain't even they just as uncoordinated as they was before they joined the fraternity sorority. Why y'all making a
Right.
big deal up out of it?
Hey,
No,
my
no,
ace step.
it's the same. No, it's the same thing. Like you know, in along those same lines, when they be like, "Oh, Justin Timberlake can come to the cookout." No,
And Justin
he's a
Timberlake come to my
mediocre
cookout
white
and get
dude. You
beat
know what I
up.
mean? So
Justin Timberlake would come to our cookout and get beat up because
yeah,
we love Janet over here.
yeah,
Shout
I
out to
think
Janet.
Right. I think the other thing that we don't have is control of the industry. We don't have
that's
control
it
of the
too.
labels.
That's a
And so
component.
they're bringing in these people that they can control. That's really on their side because that's who they want to
Mm,
bring in. It's going, they like, here's your list of songs. And even the people that they letting get in, they got terrible deals. They got no control over the album. They only playing the songs that they allow them to play or whatever. So we don't have enough control over our own industry to weed out the people that are just taking advantage or the people that are just trying to get on just for the sake of getting on. And then once they in the light, they like, bye.
But I
yeah,
mean, at the end of
and
the
that's
day,
what I was
you're right.
getting. That's what I was going to get at. At the end of the day, I was going to say, hate to be this way, but we need more gatekeeping in the black community when it
Yeah.
comes to stuff. I mean, we really do, man.
But we need gatekeepers that had the best interests of the community.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
That, you know, by definition, a lot of the gatekeepers, it's all about power and
Mhm.
them controlling, being able to set the narrative and being able to control what happens and what doesn't happen. It's not about keeping out those who don't belong. It's about, okay, I'm the one that's allowed
Mhm.
to have a little bit of authority. And because I'm allowed to have a bit of authority, you motherfuckers need to kiss my ass,
Right.
right? Because I'm at the table. I've heard it before in corporate America.
Kiss the ring. Yeah.
I've heard it before in corporate America. You know what I'm saying? Black people. Hey man,
Yeah.
listen. I just got to the table. Let me find out what's going on, and then I'll bring you all up. I'm like, no, you just want to sit there and get fat
Exactly.
Mm.
because you know you ain't there for long, and
Right.
you know the only reason why you were there. And I'm not. Let me say this: the people that I know, they are talented, they are credible, but we know that when it comes to business, you being talented and you being intelligent, incredible, really don't matter unless somebody gives you their okay.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So you sit there and you say, "Well, let me figure things out or whatever." That's not what they do. That's not what they do at all.
Mhm.
You know, they'll promote Jimmy, they'll promote Lisa, and knowing that they're ineffective and over their head. But what they'll do is this. They'll put Jimmy and Lisa in and say, okay, well, listen, you know, we got a up and coming attorney named Lisa. She's not really that smart. She's at the bottom of her class
Class.
or whatever. But you know, we could put her on this team because we got a Rico over there. And Rika don't mind grinding. Rika will not sleep, you know, to make sure her clients get what they need. She'll carry it, and that way, little Lisa can get the resume boost. Oh, I've managed a legal team and blah 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 blah. But when it becomes untenable, and it's like, hey man, like she can't be here no more because she's not capable of holding this job, then Lisa gets assigned to a special project.
Mhm.
You see, she gets assigned to a special project, but what's happened all that time? Lisa's got the increased salary from being in management. She has it on her resume, right? And now she's hitting on this doing special projects the rest of her life, but she's already got that salary increase. Meanwhile, Arika to sit here and work her ass off, age herself, you know what I'm saying, trying to carry this damn team and still is making less than this white woman. That's how they do.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
But
That
then we
happened to
got our
me.
people that say, nah, man, let me try to figure it out before I pull you in. And we actually are capable of doing the jobs.
Right.
So
More than
just bring
capable.
it back, just to bring it back. We got to
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
right gatekeepers.
Yeah. No, you're right. But that shit, that exactly did happen to me. Before I passed the bar, I worked at a law firm in Denver and I got hired as a paralegal. Man, it was salary, baby. It was so much work. And I was like coming in on Saturdays and working and everything. And it's like when I left, because they got mad at me because they wanted me to take the Colorado bar, but I took the Georgia bar, but I didn't tell them that. Somebody told them that. We're not gonna say who, even though he lived in my house. But anyway, somebody told them that I took the Georgia bar, so they got mad about that and fired me. They had to hire two people to take my place,
Mm,
two white chicks. That was like
yeah.
training this girl. This girl could not do it. She couldn't figure it out to save her life. And I was like, oh, look at that. Takes two of you to do what one of me was doing. But you mad at
Right.
me though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, we definitely do need a gatekeeper, man. The problem is though, Nikki's already in. You know, I think the only thing that's more despicable than Nicki Minaj is her fans.
The
But
one she has left.
that's what I say. She's lost a lot of the fans that she did have, though. I will say that.
She did.
Probably the
She did, but
LGBTQIA for
it took
sure.
this. It took this to do it, right? It took all forget all the other despicable stuff
I
that
was
she
about to say, I
said
think
and
she had
done.
been losing. I think she has some good. She raps. She has pretty good lyrics
Mhm.
sometimes, but she had been losing fans along the way.
So the Nikki that I was introduced to,
Mm-hmm.
I never was a fan of. I didn't dislike her, but I didn't like that old chong, I'm a Chong
Yeah.
Lee and all that old shit. Like
Mhm.
that's Busta Rhymes style. You know, it's annoying. I like chicks that just flow and they flow hard.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until like I saw like a documentary on the relationship with a guy that helped break her, and it showed like old mixtapes, videos that she put out, and I was like, oh wait a minute, she can actually flow. Like
Mm-hmm.
she
Mhm.
goes hard body, but between the crazy look and the mean girl, the obvious mean girl mentality, I don't do mean girls.
Mhm.
I don't. There's something in me that if it's on one of my other shows, I would say more about it. But I don't do Mean Girls, so I've never really fooled with her. And she just can't help herself. She talking about Don Lemon. She called Don Lemon a sea sucker. Y'all can she
Infer.
called Don Lemon a cocksucker and all this old shit because Don Lemon called her out because they was in Minnesota where ICE has been wreaking havoc at Trump's behest, and they found out that there was a pastor that was in charge of a church, but he was also he's managing ICE as well in that area. So they went in to protest in his church during the middle of his service, right? So Don Lemon was there reporting, and other people. I can't remember. I think her name was George or something. I apologize. I don't remember her name, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just Don Lemon that was arrested.
Right.
But you know, I think there was two warrants that they tried to get, or two judges that said, "No, man, no, we're not doing this." Finally, they just went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
So, like Steve Bannon said, man, they've broken a lot of laws, and if the midterms go the Democrats' way, and the Democrats don't act like the Democrats, a lot of them, that's a big if. A lot of them should be going to jail.
Yeah. But
Straight violation of law.
that's true. But again, I'll say it again. A lot of the way that we are accustomed to quote unquote rule of law is you're supposed to comport yourself and it's with a certain sense of decency and all that kind of stuff. And the Democrats are going to stick by that because once they break it, if both sides is going, then the whole country, as we know it, or as we think we know it, is done. If both sides act in their own best interest, not in interest of the people as a whole, then hey, God bless us all.
But I think though that that's the only way that they're really going to be able to bounce back though. Like they need to go full out extreme, like Mondami, and I hope that's how you say his name. They're gonna have to do that to that playing nice stuff. Um,
That's different though.
that playing
That's
nice, that playing nice bit that has led to the voter apathy, and voter apathy helps the Republicans. So they're going to have to find a way, just like here in Texas, they did the gerrymandering, and they flipped a deeply red county. They flipped it
Yep, I
deeply
saw
red,
that.
So it comes to how are you going to motivate and inspire people to get out to vote? It ain't going to be by trying to attack your black candidates, because you need the black community to vote.
Right.
But then you come, talking about Jasmine Crockett's relationship with the Rules, and this boy that she running against, Tyrico, he's just as in bed with him. They just hit
Right.
it.
I'm talking specifically about going after quote unquote political foe. That's the portion I'm talking about now. As far as policies,
revenge in terms of
revenge. That's what I'm talking about, right?
Well, they did to a certain extent, but it showed that it was just like theater. It was political theater. Because if they had wanted to get Trump, they could have got him.
That's right. They could have,
but they slow dragged it and drugged their feet. They could have got him, which to me shows you don't really want. I said it before. Like when they shut down, when the Democrats voted to stop the shutdown. I said, well, you know what? It took me a long time to figure it out, but they in on it.
Yeah.
They in on it.
They want to take a principled stand, and then I took my stand for 40 days. Now I could back off. You got the point.
Right.
And healthcare premiums are sky high.
Sky high.
Two wings of the same bird. They all on the same flight plan. And none of us are included in what the mission is, because they don't care about what happens.
That's a good way to put it, Erika, because it's a bird, two wings, both of them gotta work together to go forward, right? If one of them don't work together with the other one, hey, what's gonna happen?
But I'm gonna say this though, because I want to be careful, because when we talk like this, it does give off the mindset of, well, what's the point? So, the thing I want to make sure we don't do though is try to feed into that, well, it don't matter, Democrats, Republicans, the same. No, we still need to vote.
Yeah.
We still need to get out there, because I'd rather live with good masters than bad masters. If I got to live with masters.
If you got to live with masters.
If I got to live with masters, I want good masters.
Yeah.
I want masters that only beat you if you really mess up.
What?
He's saying absolutely. I mean, seriously, like, unless you have how you gonna get from under master's plantation? Basically, if you got to choose one.
So I agree with we don't want to encourage apathy, but I think one of the things we always talk about is we got to hold these people to task. We got to hold their feet to the fire. And so I think talking about their shortcomings is doing that, as long as we include discussions about solutions and next steps. And I think supporting grassroots campaigns is important. I think getting all these old ass half dead people out of office is important. I think to get new young people like motivated about being not just voters, but involved in the voting system, becoming poll judges, becoming, people that are actually involved in every stage of the voting process. And we got to do that by educating them at a much younger age and motivating them and gassing them up at a much younger age, so that they come in to 18 like ready to go, ready to feet hit the pavement.
Yeah. One of my me and last frat brothers sent me like an advertisement where they have people that you can do poll watching and training. So normally you have the people that work the polls. Wherever I've lived, there's always been old ass senior citizens, because obviously they retired and they don't work, right.
I've done it.
So my guy, he I guess is retired, but he's on sabbatical or whatever. So he actually, I think he worked the poll. And then now I think he's going to be like an observer or monitor, which is really going to be important, because, we got Trump with ICE. And what's that one dude, man? It was like your smart brother. He's one of my favorite followers on IG. He's always like playing his little computer game, and his sister's asking him questions, and he breaks down what's going on with Trump. I'll send it to you. His name is.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like you ask your smart brother, and she was like, "Hey, Anthony, what do you think about ICE in Minnesota?" And he like breaks it down real succinct.
Yeah,
he's on point. But he mentioned how like they don't have enough numbers with ICE to be able to take over the whole country. That's why they focus on one city at a time.
Mm.
And especially when you have like Minnesota, when the city decides to fight back, right, they're outnumbered. And you can't rely on the National Guard because ICE is a bunch of dumb fucks who, probably couldn't qualify for anything else. So,
Felons,
they could wear
some
the
of them.
mask and be able to do what they got to do, right, to punish, non-white people. But when you bring in the National Guard is supposed to be more disciplined, right? Disciplined, and you won't have the issues like, protesters being shot and murdered or what have you. But, Trump just said we should nationalize elections, so you know what that means.
Mhm.
So then we could have, we could put National Guard and put people to try to intimidate people from coming to vote. So to your point, Erika, we definitely have to get people who are able to come out and be like, no, that's not right. Yes, you can still vote when you're in line. Don't be intimidated. Those positions, those sort of volunteer efforts are much needed, and they're going to be really, really needed when it comes up to this upcoming midterm election.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another thing, really, the reason he's hitting the cities he's hitting goes back to voting again. You see, he's like, we'll leave Minnesota if you give us these voting records. You see, they
Mhm.
just went. They had to get a subpoena signed from a FBI director in Missouri to go into Georgia to get the voting record. The person in Georgia wasn't messing with them, basically. So they, that just shows how underhanded and shady they are. They just trying to get voter information because it's all about that midterm because they know, like you said, like we've said, if Democrats take over, then he's gonna be the only 3-time impeached president.
Yeah, but also, you know what Malcolm X said, a child educated only at school is an uneducated child. And the fact that we don't really talk about the voting process and things like that with our own children in the home and stuff like that as a whole, not us individually, but it's something that maybe we need to start working on. That's why we were talking about trying to include more political things that we could do, coming up with pamphlets and stuff like that that we can give to households that don't have as much knowledge or information about, what you can do if you're in line, or poll judges and what they're supposed to do, or just even the whole process in general. Like, it's not just voting for president. I don't know how many times I've had to have these arguments or stress these conversations, or that people don't even know it's more than two political parties. It's the fact that people aren't fully educated on our system that keeps us down. Because if people understood it more, they would understand their impact more, and they would have less voter apathy, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it's by design, though.
Yeah, of
I
course.
think I read where they said, I don't know the percentage, whatever, but most of the U.S. reads at a sixth grade level.
I can see that.
At a sixth grade level.
That's
Somebody
wow.
fact check that. But when you look at that, right, and they're trying to proactively control education, the type of education that we receive, the type of information that's put into books, all of that's intentional because, after 20, 30, 40 years or whatever, people like us will be gone and it'll be our children. I was just talking to my son and I was telling him like, yeah, y'all generation is cooked, bro. I said, because y'all feel like getting y'all information from TikTok just because a motherfucker looks authoritative on TikTok or IG that it's legit. And you have no inclination to do like a little bit of research and to try to find out, is this legit or is it not? Just because somebody says it on TikTok and because they white or because they look like a conspiracy theorist, look it up and research it yourself. Like, I'm so thankful, like, to my uncle Buddy. Shout out to Thomas Bud, RIP. He was one of those people that invested in buying an encyclopedia set. My cousins, that was his grandsons, whatever. He said, y'all may be in the hood, but y'all gonna be able to see the world, right? And now we got everything on our phone, and they don't want to do it. They don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
So,
Man, World Book was my boy. I used to check. We had something at the house, but yeah, the encyclopedias. That's something that people don't understand. Goes back to the sixth grade reading level, man. You don't actually have to read to figure out how to even find a book in the library anymore.
I
You had to
know.
have
Do they know how to do
a
that?
10th grade reading level just to find your book.
Dewey
The
Decimal.
Dewey Decimal System. They don't
Dewey
know how to use
Decimal,
that.
man.
I
Yeah,
bet they
yeah.
don't.
Bro, but hey, listen.
But there's a lot of other stuff too that factors into the education. You know, talk about how just in general, people aren't as religious as they used to be, right?
Mm.
So a lot of times people would learn at school, but they would also learn at their churches and places of worship. And they would have people there who would instill stuff that's not in the textbooks, you know, so you would get that knowledge. And even if, you know, you have these nothing wrong with mega churches, but you know, these big churches are not as personal. So you don't have the youth groups and all that kind of stuff like you used to that would take the, you know, we go on field trips, you know, to museums and stuff like that, or to cultural places and learn about cultural history around Kansas City and stuff. So, you know, I don't think you have that nearly as much as you used to.
Now, I saw something to your point on social media that talked about that, where they talked about the churches where you learned about how to read. Because
That too.
Vacation Bible School, you know, it was teachers in the community that was leading Vacation Bible School. You know, Sunday school, you know, we took turns reading around the
Reading
text.
it.
You're going to read this
Mhm.
part of the lesson. And, you know, we used to be little bad kids laughing at the folks who couldn't read as well. Like, well, he can't read, you know,
Yeah.
even in the service, you know, it was responsive reading.
Responsive reading, yeah.
You know, the pastor read, and then the congregation will read. And we read the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now that's old school church right there, and some
Yeah.
people still do it. But as a society, we are more inclined to microwave everything.
Everything.
Like I just found like something that really just saved like my life on Facebook and Instagram. If you watching like something that's like 5, 7 minutes, whatever, you actually hold your finger on the top right hand corner and it'll play it at 2 times speed. So even like a 60-minute reel, whatever, I'm still going to watch it in 30 seconds because that minute is too long for me. I got to keep going.
Right.
I got to keep going.
Hey, in your group chats now, AI summarizes them if you have it on your phone. Like if you miss a whole day of chat in the group text,
Yeah.
it'll be a summary at the top. You can get caught up just like that. You don't have to read everybody's text.
And that's just crazy. And so I mean, we are complicit with it as well, but at least we had that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
church is where you learn how to comport yourself and conduct yourself in public settings,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that the church can be good and it can be bad. You know, like the
Mm-hmm.
Theo bros, you got the tech bros and the Theo bros, you know, the white Christian nationalists, and all of them are against us.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are against us at all, you know. And it's I find it funny going back to Nikki. Well, it's not even funny. She's got a brother who's a rapist, right? Uh, there was a husband is a PDF
Sex offender or something.
sex
Yeah.
offender.
One of
They got
them.
sexual problems,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's no surprise that she's willing to sit there and hold hands with another pedophile,
Mm.
allegedly.
Well, I mean, over 1,500 times his name appears in those documents. So
Right.
And you saw it. You
He
saw what
wasn't
they
a
about to
stranger.
have. They got Bill and Hillary going to testify.
That's crazy because what are they about to say?
Well, I'm
I,
hoping that.
I take the I don't recall, as they say, the stuff that
Well,
happened last month. I don't recall.
ideally, I think some people are trying to say that it's a chess move because if they get out there, they'll be able to basically somehow involve Trump or whatever people are trying to say. Like there's some strategy behind it, because otherwise, why would they volunteer to be able to,
Yeah.
to
Well, just
testify?
so they don't get brought up on contempt or whatever charges.
So people are trying to say like there's some sort of strategy behind it or what have you. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this. And I was telling a couple of me and last frat brothers this. Nothing's going to come from this. They could have 40,000 more pages and emails. Because here's the deal. We knew what he was before they put him in the first time.
Right.
He was talking about grabbing women. You just walking them, grab them by the pee.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the stuff that's come out, like it's awful. It's awful. But if they
But
was
I
able to
will.
pinch, if they was able to pinch their nose and still vote with the stuff that they knew then, and a lot of these people they knew now he was with Epstein. They knew back then he was with Epstein.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's pictures.
They knew back then,
Mm-hmm.
and you still let him in. You think if Obama had one picture with Farrakhan, he would have never. And Farrakhan wasn't no pedophile. I'm not trying to equate Farrakhan to a pedophile like Epstein. But what I'm saying is, he is a lightning rod, and he's polarizing for white people. Had Obama had just one picture, you said they tried to get him with his pastor Jeffrey White.
I was just about to
Jeffrey
say I've been
White,
seeing that
Yeah.
lately. That I'm about Jeremiah Wright was
Jeremiah White, right?
dead on, and I'm like showing up, and he had to quit going to that church just to get a nomination.
And they was really trying. And I remember when that was happening, they was like him and Jeremiah White, the militant pastor Jeremiah White.
Yeah.
And I remember I would watch Fox News while I was at the gym, and that bitch ass Sean Hannity, he'd be like, "There's a connection there. There's a connection to Farrakhan somewhere. We're going to find it." But Farrakhan, the problem with Jeremiah Wright couldn't get out of his own way with his ego.
Yeah.
He was in the limelight. Because Farrakhan said it afterwards. He was like, I knew that they would use me to hurt my brother. So I intentionally stayed away from him.
Mm-hmm.
I knew. But my point being, not to equate that piece of shit Epstein to the arm of Mr. Louis Farrakhan. I'm just saying, had there been any association like that when it happened? So the fact that he still made it means, again, that they in on it. And it don't really matter to them.
They don't
No,
care.
it doesn't. You know, it's a lot of people out there who they know stuff, right? And they don't care. But as soon as it's public, they have to feign outrage. They have to act like they care. But no, you've been knowing this whole time. I mean, you know people like that in your everyday life. I mean, at work, stuff there, stuff people, stealing from the company, about it, right? Managers might be in on it. But as soon as, oh my goodness, I can't believe they were doing that. And then somebody got to be the fall guy, and somebody, so it's a lot of that going on too. Faux outrage.
Yeah. Shout out to white women talking about, I can't believe Trump is so bad, but they still voted for him.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. So, like, again, I don't want to put out the narrative that it doesn't matter, but Arika is right. We have to encourage people to get involved locally and down ballot. And, we've always known this, but I think voter apathy, especially in the Black community, is at an all-time high. And there's a strategy behind that. There's people who are paid to promote that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Don't vote and don't matter. That dude, Corey Holcomb, at one point, I thought that we talked about just being ignorant. The ignorant humor appealed to me.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah.
And then when the hatefulness towards women became more and more apparent, I said, nah, I can't fool with this. I can't fool with this. He went
in on me.
Huh?
He went in on me. We got into it.
At the show?
Corey Holcomb? Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
I went to see him one time, and I'm not gonna lie, I was like, nah, this dude's a little over the top.
Yeah. I was in the front row, and he was just talking about beating up women and just all the crazy things that I guess he talks about all the time that I didn't know about. And I wasn't laughing because it's not funny. And so I guess that created a target on my face somehow. And then we just started getting into it. I mean, he was like, oh, you must be miserable with her. She looked like she's terrible. This, that. I was like, you miserable. You the one sitting up here talking about your wife that left you because you a bum. What you crying on stage for? And why you so worried about me? But yeah, we got into it.
So he got into it with Anton Daniels, another, whack ass Black dude, MAGA dude. And Anton sort of exposed him because, Anton was like, we can go outside and fight right now. Corey, he big to talk tough
Mm-hmm.
He'll hit a woman. He'll talk about hitting a woman, but when somebody was like, "We'll go outside right now," and said, and dude was straight up in his face, like, "I disrespect you to your face, and you ain't say nothing."
Mm-hmm.
And then when Corey was like, "That vote is for sucker shit," I was done. I just can't subscribe to that. Like I used to really rock with Tariq Nasheed. Tariq ain't as bad, but when Tariq was trying to actively say, "Hey man, don't vote," I can't rock with that. I
Right.
come from people who fought, literally fought for us to be able to have a right to vote, who
Died.
fought for us to have a holiday to celebrate and honor Martin Luther King. There's pictures of me and my cousin as babies marching with picket signs. How dare I be able to say, "Hey, man, voting don't matter. You being active in the community doesn't matter."
Hmm. They just called Corey Holcomb on camera punching a chick in the face.
He tried to say that she was stalking. She was stalking
I
him,
didn't see that.
and
Yeah.
yeah, no. He tried to say he
I mean, I
must.
believe it. Yeah,
He
but
tried
yeah.
to say he mustered, but dude, he walked several paces and like hit her all up in the face, right? Shout out to the dude that swung on him as soon as it happened, right? But again, I was just like, but you see Enrique in that video, he didn't hit dude back. You hit the
Nah,
kick,
he one
but
of
when
them
dude
Mhm.
guys.
starts
Yeah.
swinging on you, you ain't want to do nothing.
You don't
Oh
got
yeah,
that same
he's
level
entirely lame.
of smoke. You don't want that smoke.
Right. I'm like, why you want to fight with little old me, but you over here buddy buddy with these dudes? I was like, you're lame and you're not funny. You mad because you're not funny? I sit in the front row at every comedy show, be cracking up, be included in every comedy show. This is the first time I ever got into it with somebody, and it's because you're not funny. He lucky that was my day. I was trying to give up Hennessy, so I didn't have any. So that could have went a totally different direction.
It would have went in a different direction if I had been there, you know,
Hey,
because
well, you know who I was with, so it was
play
perfectly
those
fine.
we don't play those games. So we're gonna leave that alone. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. That's a whole nother
we ain't
show.
gonna go further with that. We're gonna leave that alone. We're gonna
That's
leave
two
that.
shots that I gave him this episode.
Yeah, we're gonna leave
For
that
real.
alone. We
Yeah.
ignored the first one. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know, I know, exactly.
You're gonna leave that alone. Yeah, yeah, but I don't know, man. We gearing up for this midterm election, and we need all hands on deck. And not only just to get out and vote, but we definitely need to build community. And, over the last year and a half, that's been something that I have been repeating several times: community, community, community. And how can we do that in the places that we live? I have moved a lot in my life. I have lived in what? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 cities as an adult. Now, people like Lab move a lot as a kid, for whatever reasons. You got a parent that moves for different jobs, positions, military, whatever. When we move 6, 7 times as an adult, that it becomes harder to, make new friends in
Hmm.
places. And when you can't really make those friends, you make friends, but you're not really in the community,
Right. Hmm.
right? So, you can, but it takes a concerted effort. To your point, Lab, you talked about mega churches, and it's not really what it's. You can get involved in a mega church because once you get involved, say like, well, I like to sing. Well, let me get in the choir. Well, then that choir got 20, 30 people. Boom, you got community right there.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a homeboy. He was like, I don't like to do much, but you know, the parking situation is a mess out here. So me and some other brothers, we're gonna be out here directing parking, and we have our community because we're doing a need.
Hmm.
We're fitting a need for the church,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
that's how they do that. But what happens in the mega church? It comes really easy for you just to fade and,
Yeah.
be
Nothing's
invisible.
required of you when you're in a smaller a
Mhm.
I can
smaller
show up late.
congregation.
I can show up
Yeah.
late, and I can sit up top. I can
Leave
leave
early. Yeah.
early. You
Yeah.
know what I
Mhm.
mean? I could do all those things. But when you in the church, people just say, "I don't want no church with everybody in my business."
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you need everybody in your business.
Right. Pastor ain't gonna ask you why you wasn't at church last week
Mhm.
at one of them larger churches for the most part.
You
So
know. So that's why I'm working on a men's conference in my hometown in Topeka. Um, we're trying to get everybody who organizations, Black business owners, coaches, community leaders, community activists. We want everybody to come on board, not to tell them, "Hey, listen, y'all doing it wrong," but we really are all we got.
mhm.
And You could do what you do. He could do what he does. But when it comes time for us to be able to say, hey, listen, we need to go to City Hall and we need people to show up every week at this time, just so we have a presence. That comes with organization, right?
Mm.
Hey, something happened to these boys, whatever. We need a bunch of men to show up to let them know that that's not acceptable. That comes with being organized. So it's my hope that people follow Rika's model, my model, whatever, to build community so that we can combat these folks. Shout out to the people in Minnesota. They're like, man, hell no, we ain't finna let ISIS do whatever we want to do. You know, they did that back in the day when they killed George Floyd. And they
Right.
went after the police, right? And they made a difference. My point, you got to have community, man, and we got to do this. We got to find some way to build it, and that's what I want to encourage people to do.
And we got to start sending money to our candidates, even if we can't vote for them. I can't vote in St. Louis, and we'll leave it at that. But I can still support St. Louis candidates with my money and my. And if you don't have money, you can pass out pamphlets or make phone
You can
calls or
call
Let's
phone
say you can work
banks.
the
share
phone
their
bank.
page,
Yeah, you can
share
work.
their information.
Yeah, work the phone bank. You can do all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't all just about
Work the
finance.
polls.
Yeah, you can do all the things, man. So I mean, we're gonna see how it goes. Y'all saw where they say Trump been, defecating on himself.
Oh,
No, I didn't see that either,
Oh
man.
no, yeah. They had one where they tried to say he shitted on himself, but I was like, I don't know, that kind of looked like AI. But like there was one where like you can like actually hear him letting it go. They're saying that all the drugs he's done and his age and everything, and you could see like the lady behind him was kind of like holding her nose, and like all of a sudden his age just came out. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, and just rushed everybody out. Yeah.
they ain't got that man a butt plug yet.
That man, exactly.
Man, listen, this dude, another one of my favorite files is the white dude is like, I'm a geriatric nurse with a PhD in my field, treating patients just like the president, right? And he talks about how he shows
Yeah.
signs of dementia and
Mhm.
Alzheimer's. Now, that motherfucker, he keep pushing back the clock. He was like, he got about 3 to 5 more months in the land of the living, and now he's down to 1 to 3. And then now he added a caveat, or he gets impeached, or such and such and such and such, or whatever. But he points out that Trump looking bad, man.
He is, man. And again, I don't know. He's on video. He's every step of the way. He doesn't shake hands enough for his hand to be that beat up and bruised, unless Katz is like, old school, just trying to squeeze his hand to prove a point. That's
God,
definitely something. That's the telltale sign right there. That's the
but
red
if he
flag.
dies and we end up with that fool as his VP gets to be president, man, we are in for it around here.
Was actually more dangerous
Yes,
because he is
cognizant.
bought and paid for by Peter Thiel. So it's a mess, man. But we're gonna have to. I mean, I don't know. Do they even have somebody ready to run again? Like Gavin Newsom, can he do it?
That's who they're hoping.
I know he is the great white hope right now.
Yeah, he is him.
Hmm. Well, we're gonna
I
see.
don't know.
I'm
Landami might be he might be not this next one, but he might be heading that direction, trying to become the people's person.
Yeah, no, he's
not
not.
even gonna do it.
Nah.
I
Hey, I'm gonna
mean,
tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Ma'am Donnie was talking about if Netanyahu come to New York, we're gonna arrest him. You know, the rules they ain't going for that.
And
he is he's a little too radical.
No,
and he used Jada Kiss in his
right.
inauguration address. So
No,
Did he really?
yeah, no, it's no that
he
ain't gonna
quoted
happen.
Jada. Yeah.
But there's so much in the news, man. There's so much that we missed, that we could have talked about, but it's just like it's a lot, man. But Nicki Minaj, go to hell.
That part.
And I mean that.
Hey,
Go
I
back,
mean,
go
You
back
probably,
to the
as a
country.
Christian, I'm probably not supposed to say that. And I know you're all fighting for Christians, whatever. Go to hell, girl.
man, that's the thing to me. It's like at no point before this would I ever have thought that she was like a Bible thumping Christian. Like and At no point in my life ever would I have thought that.
She's not.
Maybe
No,
she got that in rehab.
Exactly. Yeah. Some people just like, some people just like having fans. And if your fans are people that are over here, then I'm gonna gravitate towards what they believe in just to keep. She lost all her fans. I'm a lot of her hip hop fans, so she got to get.
What'd you say, Rika? She said, is rehab.
People be finding themselves in jail and rehab.
Exactly, they do.
So,
which is not a bad thing, but
they find religion in rehab, but also them crackheads. I don't know if I had a lot of cousins who was crackheads, but when they get on that super religious kick, they really out on that end, dude. Like for real, for real. They really on that end. Like I had a cousin, I ain't gonna say his name because but he was just like, yeah, man, God and this, that, and the other. And these people have no morals. They broke into my mama's house. And my dad and my uncle, who was his father, was like, motherfucker, you broke into your mama's house. You stole the TV. You smoked the TV. What are you talking about?
He was like,
that was an out-of-body experience. Yeah.
That wasn't me.
All right, real quick, because I asked this question in my group. Then we're going to go. I just want y'all's opinion real quick. What hurt the Black community more? Crack cocaine or integration?
Integration.
That's what I say too. Laugh.
I would on in the grand scheme of things, probably integration. Yeah, crack cocaine hit hard in a lot of major, big cities, huge cities. I mean, but just look at the schools, all the schools we lost, all the teachers, all the doctors. Everyone who basically overnight, boom. Hey, you can't teach white kids, and our Black kids is going to these schools. What do you do now? You know what I mean? Right. And so, we talked about it earlier. Hey, they went to church and they started, being influential in that. They had already been, but yeah, it is a whole ecosystem of people that just lost out on earning potential, which could have furthered our wealth and decreased the wealth gap and all that stuff because of it.
Crack cocaine is a byproduct.
I don't know how old y'all parents are, but my parents were born in the 30s. So my parents grew up segregation and Jim Crow. Mm-hmm. And I saw a guy that posted on social media. He was talking about, we came from people that lived through Jim Crow and segregation. Basically it was like, we all we got. Mm-hmm. They the enemy, right? So we come from that generation, and we're getting further and further removed from that. And that again is leading to the apathy, right? Mm-hmm. But I think integration. So how like people get AIDS, but they don't die from AIDS. They die from like pneumonia or something else that's attacked their system because they've been weakened by the AIDS or HIV, right? Integration was HIV/AIDS. Crack was just the pneumonia.
Yeah, a byproduct.
Because integration destroyed the community.
Yeah, school systems.
Had we had the community, crack wouldn't have hit it as hard as it did.
Yeah.
No. Because people would have been at work.
So.
Yeah. And the same thing with, a lot of people have bought into it. And at this point, I don't know, but people move outside of that. Hey, I can live over here now. You know what I mean? And so you send your kids to schools and you neglect a certain number of schools that unfortunately those families aren't as fortunate as you or don't have the buying power that you have. And so those schools are rotting. And then, you look at where we're from in Kansas City and St. Louis, I look at it, it always amazes me that those two school districts, really the only urban Black, majority Black or high percentage Black school districts in the entire state of Missouri, they haven't had accreditation or they have up and down accreditation for years. The state is in control of those districts or from time to time. And it, that's one thing that I will say for sure. Integration hurt the Black schools, man.
Mm-hmm. Because here's a reality though. there wouldn't even be a public school system if it weren't for Black people.
Yeah.
They had to come up with some way to educate us, because the white folks, the rich white folks, were sending their kids to boarding school or a private school, right? So these poor whites, they wouldn't have access to education were it not for the Black people. And a lot of times we had our own schools. We was educating ourselves, and then listen, Miss Lisa's the best teacher, but shit, I'm getting paid over here with these white folks. Yeah, they doing me dirty in the lunchroom and everywhere else, but I got kids to feed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
about integrating. It was about equality. It was not about, it was about not, it was about stopping the inequality. And my mom said it all the time. She was like, in Topeka, Kansas, we have 4th Street. She said 4th Street looked just like Harlem. You had clubs, restaurants, or whatever. And if you talk to most Black people, I bet you if you talk to your grandparents or somebody that's from that era, they'll tell you, man, the worst thing that ever happened to us was integration.
East
Now
St.
for
Louis used to
us,
be the spot.
we saw the crack epidemic. We saw it first and firsthand. Like we had family members, or we had friends, we had parents that was on it, right? So we saw that. But again, that's just more of a byproduct of the community being attacked.
Yeah.
Destabilized.
Yeah, there you go. Destabilized. That's a better word. That's why I got you on the show, because I need people smarter than me.
Destabilized.
And look, I be messing up names, misspelling words and shit, but at least I'm honest. But anyway, man, I think we talked about it enough. Make sure you go to our Facebook and Instagram at Man Listen Show. Go to the link in our bio on our Instagram, buy a hoodie or whatever. And just make sure you tell everybody about the Blackest Radio Show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. Holler at you next time. We'll holler at you next time.
Peace.
Shout out to C.